Hello and welcome. It's Bev from Living Fabulously, and today I wanted to explore inflammation, what it is and its causes. And in my upcoming book to be published, Hope in a Dark Tunnel, Your Roadmap to Wellbeing When Navigating Chronic Illness, it's a focus area. And why inflammation? Let's talk about this. So inflammation is the root of most disease. And if you think of it logically, when you think of the word arthritis, it affects the joints. It's inflammation in the joints. When you think of heart disease, it's inflammation in the arteries. And then the more prevalent today is autoimmune disease. And autoimmune disease is multimodal and, it affects different parts of the body. So it could be Hashimoto's thyroiditis affecting the thyroid. It could be lupus. It could be fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, so many different things that are based in an autoimmune condition. So that's from allergens, toxins, infections. They're just so vast. So it's worth having this conversation. So let's begin with what is inflammation. Now, it is the body's natural defense because it needs to clear up any damaged cells or attack viruses and bacteria. And so you have what we call acute inflammation, which is, for example, when you have a cut and it's infected, the body will work to repair it and it'll repair it in a short time. And then you have chronic inflammation, which is much more of the ilk that is slow, continuous, and sometimes unseen or untraced or invisible in the process, but the symptoms are there. So we don't sort of understand the root cause sometimes of chronic inflammation. And it is important to know the causes of inflammation so that you can start taking action. And the first one is often an overactive immune system. And this means that the body is in a fight or flight type of mode because it doesn't recognize the incoming information. So this can be from foods, allergens, toxins, anything from the environment that we are interacting with or ingesting. So typical foods that cause inflammation would be things like corn. So corn is unfortunately one of those products that has been mass commercialized, and to make it pest resistant, they've included neurotoxins like glyphosate. So glyphosate is the typical Roundup that you would use as a poison in your garden. And in fact, you shouldn't use that poison in your garden because it can be inhaled, it damages the soil. But they actually make that embedded into corn. The other one is unpasteurized and unorganic dairy. So there are a number of reasons why dairy causes inflammation, but it causes inflammation through mucus buildup. And so that's not only mucus in your sinuses, but also in your gut, and that creates a haven for bacteria. Then there's things like refined carbohydrates. So when you buy stuff that's in a bag, box, can, or jar, it is not just the original product. It becomes a food-like substance because they chemically engineer a lot of this in a factory. So what started off perhaps as something from nature ends up being tampered with if in another state. So understanding that refined carbohydrates are often a source of problems. So I mentioned the specific here is pasta. So pasta obviously is, if you had homemade pasta made with organic wheat flour and you weren't intolerant to gluten, then that may be a better option. But obviously we go for convenience a lot of the time. And then the other thing is sugars. So sugars are highly inflammatory, not only highly addictive. So sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. And with inflammation, the sugar actually creates a chain reaction in the body that actually sets off inflammation really easily. And one of my clients actually noted that after Easter, eating Easter eggs, the joint pain and the migraine headaches and the inflammation were at an all-time high. So there's a very strong correlation to sugar and inflammation. And then there's things like trans fats. So trans fats are fats that are processed, and so you may think that they are safe and healthy for you, but most of the deep fried food in a cafe will be made with trans fats. So it is a cause of inflammation. And then, of course, gluten. So gluten from wheat and other grains can cause incredible inflammation. So for some people, it's an autoimmune condition like Crohn's, and that is, you know, a long-term problem to be solved. So those are just the underlying foundations of what inflammation is and its causes. So thank you for listening. Bye for now, and let's live the fab life together.